Good morning. This is Uncle Nelson. And we're on. Wait a minute. Oh, let me go get my teeth. Okay, I'm back. I had to go put my teeth in. Sometimes I'm working so hard that I forget little things like putting my teeth in. Now, we're on step 4. That means it's time for you to do some work. Okay, in step 1, we talked about being powerless. Step 2 is insanity. We talk about faith and coming to believe that a power greater than yourself can restore you to sanity. In step 3, we actually give you a prayer to use, and that prayer begins with the word God. And we ask you to turn your will and your life over to the care of God. Step 4 is where the rubber hits the road. We're going to ask you to pick up a pencil and paper and do some work. But before we do that, I hope by now you've learned to say that third step prayer. And it's early in the morning here, you know, but I've prayed and I've asked for God's protection and care. And I ask that with complete abandon. But before we go to step 4, I'm going to read something to you. And basically, what I'm going to say to you is stop whining. Stop whining. One of the reasons that people remain sick is because they choose to whine rather than being responsible. So I am going to say to you, stop whining. If you did not pray this morning, stop. Go back and do your third step prayer. Turn your will and your life over to the care of God and ask God to help you begin this fourth step. If you do not pray, stop right here, right now, and pray. And if you did pray, I want you to remember to stop whining. This is where the rubber hits the road. I need you to pick up a pen and a paper and begin to do some work. I'm going to stop by reading you this. Work with what you have. Stop worrying about what you don't have. If I had this, if I had the money, for example, to go and talk to these expensive psychiatrists, if I had the money to go into these expensive treatment centers that everybody talks about, these rehabs, stop, work with what you have. God has given you everything that you need to get better. God has given you everything you need to heal. So listen to this. Stop whining. Stop it right now. You are exactly where you are supposed to be. Start where you are. You are exactly where you're supposed to be. Inventory. The fourth step is an inventory. Find what you have. Then you will know what you need. Only when you find what you have will you know what you need. You have a desire to change. You wouldn't be here if you did not have a desire to change. Throw out what is not working. Keep that which works. Change will come slowly. Change will come gradually, like a thief in the night. Don't rush change. Allow yourself to simmer, to make mistakes. Laugh at yourself and your folly. Enjoy the journey. The journey begins with the fourth step. The fourth step is a moral inventory. It is a thorough and fearless moral inventory. Now, one of the things that is suggested that we do is to tell our story. The fourth step is the beginning of you telling your story. Your story is extremely important, and I want to read something to you. It is about your story. Normally I talk from the hips, but today I'm just reading it. This is in the book. Now, if you don't have your copy of the book, you can get a copy of this book by very simply going to my email. My email is asitisnp@gmail.com. asitis@gmail.com. Your story. Your story is your history. Your history, your fingerprints, your DNA belong only to you. No other human being has your exact history. Now, you may have shared history with siblings and other family members, shared experiences with those of your same culture, your same ethnicity, same nationality, but only you have your exact history. This is God's personal gift to you. Acknowledge that gift, not as good or bad. Pass no judgment. See it as it is. Remember the title of this book? As it is. See it as it is. Share the gift. Your gift and you are extremely important. Remember, if you don't share your gift, nobody knows and nobody benefits because only you have that gift. It is your personal gift from God. Your gift may be the thread that holds together this quilt that we're all a part of. Your gift may be the thread. In the quilt of life, some pieces on a quilt appear to be larger, better than, more beautiful. Some pieces seem to think that they stand out more. But your quilt, your story, may be the very thread. These patches in that quilt are held together by thread. Your story weaves together these pieces. You are the thread. There has to be thread. No thread, no quilt. The first word in the first step is we. We admitted we were powerless over mental illness. We admitted we were powerless over mental illness. The thread needs a needle. The needle needs hands, experienced hands for sewing. Although as individuals we are powerless, together with God, we take back our power. Together we sew, we mend, together we form this beautiful quilt, which keeps growing in the telling. Our stories make us one with each other, one with the world. You must tell your story. The fourth step is the beginning of your telling. Sit down for a moment with your pen and your paper. Go back as far as you can remember and write down resentments. Write down resentments. I was talking to a man the other day, and his father left the mother with 5 children when they were very young. He went to the States and he would return. And it seems like every time he would return, she'd get pregnant again. And he'd leave money and he'd go away again. But not enough money to really take care of everybody. So the mom had to do what the mom had to do. At a point, she had a boyfriend. The boyfriend at times would duck his head underwater and hold him there underwater. The young boy feared for his life. Today, this is a very, very angry man. And he has every right to be angry. But that same anger that he has to be dealt with. Write down your resentments, the earliest resentments that you can fathom. Is it a mother? Is it your father, your aunt, uncle, cousin, the preacher, the teacher? Write down every resentment that comes to your mind. Just write them. Just write down these resentments. Put away your fear and write down the resentment. Remember, you're doing this on your own, and nobody else has to be involved. Nobody else has to look at this. Write down every resentment that you have. Try to put away the guilt. Try to put away the shame. Write down your resentments. They're yours. This is your story. Okay? List these resentments, and it's important that you write them down. After you write down these resentments, I want you to think through every resentment and look at what was your part in that resentment. One of the major resentments that I had was the fact that I had been sexually abused. It was a major resentment with me. It kept me angry. It kept me sad. It kept me feeling guilty. It kept me feeling full of shame. But I had to write it down. And then I had to look at my part in it. And that was very, very difficult for me because when a child is abused, oftentimes the perpetrator is the person who feeds that child. You see, this man whose mother had a boyfriend, the boyfriend was very generous to the mother. The boyfriend bought food. The boyfriend paid rent. A child does not have the power to stand up against an adult, especially when that child is dependent on that adult for food and for shelter. So a child is at the mercy of that adult. So when they said, well, look at your resentment and see your part in it, I was angry. I said, I had no part in that. I was a child. And I held on to that for a while until I realized that I did have a part in it. Because now I'm grown and I don't have to hold on to it anymore. So my part in it was as an adult. My part in it was that I had held on to it. I had fanned it. I had just let it grow into a monster. You know when my healing started? When I took it back to its rightful owner. And I said, you know what? This does not belong to me. I was cleaning my closet and I found something in that closet that belongs to you. And I'm going to give it back to you. And the person that I gave it to, the people that I gave it to, did not like it. But guess what? My closet was cleaned. So as you work through this fourth step, think of it as a cleaning of your closet. A cleaning of your closet. Now, once you've written down these resentments, and once you have looked at your part in the resentment, there may be sticking points. Just keep going. Let it stick and let it stay. If you have a resentment and you cannot figure out your part in it, leave it alone. It will come to you in time. You must travel this journey. Don't get stuck. If you have written down 500 resentments, well, you know what? You might want to narrow your list down. Let's just take maybe 6, 8, 10 major resentments. Because a lot of times those resentments are simply duplicates. You know, maybe you had a resentment against your neighbor. Because maybe your neighbor had a dog that pooped on your front yard. And you had a resentment against that neighbor and that dog Well, for the rest of your life, every time you see a dog and a person with a dog, that resentment flares up. You don't need to write down 100 dogs and 100 neighbors with dogs that poop. Just deal with one. Maybe you had a teacher, and for some reason that teacher did not like you and just came in every day, and it seems like that teacher would pick on you. So now you have a resentment against every teacher that comes into your life. Just deal with the first one. Just deal with the first one. You don't have to deal with the 100 teachers or professors or other people that have tried to teach you something. Deal with the first one. So that's where we're going to be today in this 4-step process. Because this is a long, drawn out process, I am going to stop right here and I'm going to do a little summary. Get a pencil or a pen and paper and write down your resentments. Begin to think about how those resentments have affected you and how you have played a part in it. Are these resentments that you can get rid of? Can you see that you've held on to them and how it's made you really, really sick? And how sometimes it has prevented you from having good relationships because of the bad relationships you've had? How many people have, in their first love relationship, women who meet their first boyfriend, young girls, and that young boy turns out to be trash, treats you like dirt. And for the rest of your life, you say, you know what? Men are dogs. Maybe you saw your mother's boyfriend or your father treat your mother like dirt. And you say, you know what? Men are dogs. Well, guess what? Deal with the father. Deal with the first boyfriend. You don't have to deal with 100 men. But if you look at your part in that, you will begin to understand how you have caused an impact on your life and how you can get rid of it. If you can't get rid of it, guess what we have? A third step that says, I ask God's protection and care with complete abandon. So when you get to that sticking point and you realize the impact that that first relationship with that first man had on you, then you can begin to ask God to help me get through this. Help me to see this as it is. Help me to look at this as it is. What has been my part in every relationship that I've encountered? For example, who chose that second, third, fourth, and fifth relationship? Do I have a sign across my forehead that says, sorry, men wanted? Do I have a sign across my forehead that said, trifling, trashy women wanted? But guess what? Once you recognize that you have that sign on your forehead that says, trashy men wanted, you can pray and say, God, you know what? Would you take that sign off my forehead that says, trashy men wanted? And then as I work through this 4-step process, will you help me to clean my closet so that I will no longer participate in these sick relationships? Okay, I think that's enough for today. Uncle Nelson going to take a break and come back with you. I got some more on step 4. That will be in the next.